Hello friends, and welcome to Leadership Evolution. Today I want to give you a way to turn conflict and confrontation into connection and collaboration. Now, we all have confrontation and conflict in our lives, and this video is not how to avoid that. This video is about how you can shift your mindset so that conflict turns into connection and collaboration. You know, conflict and confrontation, when you think about those two words, they're so negative, aren't they? And if you're thinking about a relationship and the word conflict comes to mind, you know, conflict, we're gonna fight, we're gonna argue, we're gonna disagree, we're gonna bump heads, someone's gonna get mad and say something they didn't mean, we're gonna storm out of the room, nothing's gonna get accomplished, conflict. If that's your mindset, and that's the word that you would use to describe the relationship, is it any wonder that you have conflict in that relationship, right? So what I want to do today is I want to help you shift your mindset so that when you think about that relationship that you have, that issue that you're experiencing, that you don't think of it as a conflict. You think of it as an opportunity to build a connection, to collaborate, to actually get things done together. Does that sound good? So I want to invite you into a coaching session with me today where I ask you 3 questions that will help you to clarify some things inside of you so that you take responsibility for this issue that you're experiencing. Now, before I do that, I'm going to put my hands together and beg you, please, pretty please, would you hit the like button? It'll take you 2 seconds to do it, and it would mean the world to me. And if you want to be notified about leadership content when it comes out like this, hit the subscribe button. I can't say it. I feel like Porky Pig. Hit the subscribe button. So thank you. I would appreciate that very much. I'm begging you, pretty please. I'm trying to grow this channel, and this would help me out tremendously. Thank you. All right, let's enter into a coaching session and talk about this issue that you're facing. And I'd like for you to take a second and think about the issue. What's the relationship issue that you're having right now? The first thing I want to say is that if you're experiencing conflict in that relationship, it's because there's something real about you. There's something fundamentally true about you that you haven't yet identified or you haven't yet figured out how to express. When you lean into what's real and what's true about yourself, you'll rarely experience conflict. So let me ask you 3 questions. Question number 1, what is it that you need to face about this issue that you've been avoiding? Conflict happens when you don't want to face the real issue, so you make an issue out of a lot of other things. I once coached a manager who was having conflict with one of his employees. And nothing she could do, literally nothing she could do throughout the day was right, was correct. Everything had to become an issue. And this manager didn't know what to do about it. And after we spent time together, we came to the conclusion, and he started to realize that he had some very clear expectations for this employee that he had never articulated because he was afraid. He was afraid to come across as a micromanager, and he didn't want to be that guy, you know, the one that tells somebody, you know, this is what I want you to do, this is what I want you to do it. By the way, I'm going to be looking over your shoulder the whole time. I'm going to be checking up on you. Micromanager. So because this manager was afraid of a perception that never even really happened, he avoided that issue and talked about everything else that was wrong about the employee. Instead of facing what was real and true, this manager decided to create conflicts out of 1,000 other things throughout the day. So let me ask you a question. What is it about your issue that you haven't directly faced and accepted? And I want to invite you to unflinchingly face that for a few seconds right now. Maybe the real issue is that you need a different job or career. Maybe the real issue is that you're afraid of something and you've never faced that. Maybe the real issue is that the other person is hurting you, that they're not good for you, and you don't feel safe. Maybe the real issue is that the partnership in the business isn't working. Almost all of our symptoms and bad habits are our attempts to distract ourselves from what is the real issue and what's really going on. And this is why we have headaches, upset stomachs, can't sleep, anxiety, anger, just a host of things that we create for ourselves to distract us from what's really going on. So question number 1 is, What is the one thing that you need to face, the thing that you've been avoiding in this issue? Question number 2 is, what is the one thing that needs to be said? What is the one sentence, the one word, the one breath communication that absolutely must be said, that you haven't said, that you've been avoiding? You know, that thing that you faced a second ago in question number 1, that thing lives inside of you. It's real. It's true. And congruence means that if it's real and true, you've got to express it. When you're afraid to reveal what's real and true about you, bad things can happen. It can pressurize inside of you and build up and explode until you do or say something that you regret. Or this thing inside of you that's real releases itself like 1,000 tiny bubbles that come to the surface, where you hint and you talk around the thing and you're passive aggressive, but you never directly say what it is. So what is the thing inside of you that you need to express? What do you need to say? Who do you need to say it to? When? When are you going to do that? If you and I were sitting together in a room in a coaching session, I would insist that you answer those questions before we went any further. Question number 3, and maybe the most important question of the 3, is, what do you most deeply desire? What do you want? What is at the core of your desire around this issue that you're having that's resulted in conflict? What is it that you want? When you don't know what you want, then you're going to focus on what you don't want. You're going to focus on what's wrong. And the reason that you're having so much conflict in your relationships is that you stayed on a level that focuses on what's wrong with the other person. And that's why you complain and blame and criticize and judge. It's why you're having conflict. You can create your own breakthrough by shifting your mindset. What is it that you want? What deep desire is locked away at the core, at the center of this issue that you're having? For example, conflict with your boss might mean that you know deep down that you want another job or another career. You're just taking it out on him. You might have conflict with an employee and find out that deep down you have some expectations for yourself and for them that you've never articulated. And that's why you're having conflict with your employee. You might have conflict with a colleague and discover deep down that you just want to be respected. And the conversation up until this point has been about anything but respect. It's been about all the other things that you've created to distract yourself from the real issue, and that is, I don't feel respected. Do you see how discovering what you want out of the issue points your energy in a complete different direction? By the way, here's a pro tip. When you're having conflict with somebody, or you know you have to confront somebody and you're wondering how they're going to take it, and you're wondering if it's going to turn out in any way positive, ask yourself, what do I want in the relationship? What do I really want? When you can figure out what you want out of the relationship and how you want to relate to the other person sitting across the table, say it to them. Ask them what they want out of the relationship. Come to an agreement of how you want to relate to each other going forward. And then go ahead and disagree if you want to. You see, disagreement does not have to turn into conflict. If you both agree on what you want out of the relationship, you're going to love each other, you're going to respect each other, you're going to work with each other, whatever it is. If you can agree on that, then the disagreement is minor in comparison. When you can be very specific about what you want, then your energy will flow in that direction, and that's what leads to progress. And this is taking responsibility for your own life and your life's experiences. So disagreement and confrontation do not have to lead to conflict. Instead, it can be connection and collaboration and supporting one another, even if you disagree. And isn't that a much better way to live? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.